But there's three things that I learned that a surgeon does in my training to become a surgeon. And that is to take out the bad stuff, hook up the good stuff, and stop the bleed. And so that's exactly what I'm doing now in my coaching practice. I take out the bad stuff, I hook up the good stuff, and I stop the bleed. So what, what does that mean? And that's what I mean. Is like, if you look at my profiles, I coach with surgical precision. So I take out the bad stuff. So all the stuff that creates negativity in your life.
Welcome everyone to the episode number 13 of the TEC-ONE Stories. Today I have a very interesting guest. To be honest, we just meet, but this is so interesting in this podcast that we meet people and we just chat and get to know each other. And I think this is also very interesting for you as your audience to get to know new people and find out about new stories of what freelancers and solopreneurs do, because there are so many different stories and there's so many different concepts of how doing digital work today. So, and this is what I like, to get to know new people. And Felix, I just met him. He is also a podcaster. He is a coach. He's a solopreneur, a freelancer. I don't know what else he will tell us. But for the first question, how did you start? Why are you a freelancer or solopreneur?
No, I mean, that's a great question. And I think it's the reason that everybody is a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a freelancer. It's for freedom. I used to work for somebody. My last contract just expired December 31st. So I used to be employed for all my life, working for other people. And it just never gave me the freedom to do what I really wanted to do. Every time I brought up, hey, this is something better that we can do, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, I think we can advance here, the message I pretty much received almost all the time was, oh, we can't do that because now I'm working for someone else and their mission and how they want to create a difference in the world potentially, and it's not my mission, it's not my vision. And so by breaking out on my own and doing this on my own, I now have the freedom for myself to work exactly how I want to work, when I want to work, with who I want to work, and do the things that I think serve other people best.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, and I think this is also what the most people say. It's because of freedom. Some do it because of the money, because they have no other chance. But I help them to become these freelancers, not this just because I have to do it freelancers. But the most of the people, I meet, 80-90% are doing it because of the freedom. So, what are you doing now with your new freedom? Since when do you do it? Not so long, right? But what do you do now with your new freedom? What is success work? What is everything? What you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to get back to one point you mentioned, and that's the money. Yes, you can make a lot more money as an entrepreneur on your own by defining life for yourself. But especially in the starting phases, it's not consistent. You don't know when clients come. You don't know who the clients are going to be. It's not as consistent as getting a paycheck every week or every other week. So especially in the beginnings, it can definitely be hard, and people shouldn't be doing this for the money anyways. You should always be working for yourself and working for what matters to you, aligning your life with purpose. That's where you find meaning and satisfaction in the work that you do. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom. Yeah. So what do I do? So I used to be, I'm trained as a trauma surgeon. I was a physician working as a surgeon until the end of December last year. I started my coaching journey a little over a year ago now. I grew up under the assumption that coaches were swindlers and snake oil salesmen, and who needs to coach anyways? And it wasn't until somewhere in 2022 that I was on this quest for myself to look for something bigger, something better, something different, because I was so dissatisfied with my employed work. I just didn't find any meaning and satisfaction, fulfillment in my own work as a surgeon. And partially because I never wanted to go into medicine in the first place. I was really burned out. And so what ended up happening is, probably like everyone looking for a way out of their W-2, I found real estate. For real estate, I found Bigger Pockets, which is a huge community within the real estate investment circles. They had a podcast. They still do, but at the time, Brandon Turner was the host of the podcast. And he mentioned his own coach, Jason Dries. And my thoughts were, why is a self-made millionaire seeking out the help of a coach? What do you need? You've done it all yourself. You don't need a coach. And so then I looked into coaching for myself for the first time, always having been under the wrong assumptions. And I discovered something in coaching that I had never found anywhere else. So the other aspect of my life is that I have depression. I've had suicidal thoughts before. I've been through therapy many, many times. I've been on 7 different antidepressants over the course of my life. And the biggest problem I always had with therapy was, can we please stop talking about my mother and figure out a way forward? I know my past is my past. It's done. I can't change anything about it. Talking about it doesn't help me. I want to know what I need to do today to create a better tomorrow for myself. And that was really at the intersection where I then found coaching. And coaching is very much future oriented, right? It's all about, where are you today and where do you want to be tomorrow and what can we do to get you there? And light bulbs went off. I was like, holy cow, this is exactly what I've been looking for all these years. So then I started receiving coaching myself, and it was such a transformational change in my own life that I realized that if I was a coach, I could finally start to have the impact I truly wanted to have on other people, the kind of impact I wasn't able to have in institutionalized medicine, because I was constantly hamstrung by the system demand saying, oh, you can't do that. We're not standing for this. We're not paying for this. Same thing with insurance companies. We're not going to pay for this. And so I found a way for me to make a difference in people's lives, to help them live a better life, to find purpose, to find meaning, to create a better path forward, and to make the world a better place as a result through coaching myself. So I started a life coaching program through Lumia. I got certified through them last year. There it is. There's my certificate. And through that, then throughout the course of the last year, I developed a podcast and a YouTube channel to spread the message, to help others realize what coaching can do for them. And I just got so much more satisfaction out of doing that work. My life was just filled with so much more meaning and fulfillment as a result, that I realized this is really where I needed to be. And so I quit medicine and went full in on coaching and doing the podcast and YouTube myself, just like you're doing, to spread this message, to share stories, to show people that there is a better way, and to introduce them, just like you are doing, to what I'm doing on mine. I introduce people to other coaches, some really incredible people that do some amazing work to help others in a variety of aspects of their lives. And I think all of these stories need to be shared. People should be aware that there are the help of coaches out there that can truly have a transformational aspect on their lives, because it did for me. And the one thing I always say is, I wish I had found coaching sooner. It took me way too long to discover that for myself. And so I don't want other people to have the same problems. I want them to have truly the impact that coaching can have on their lives, to find a better path forward. Because there's so much misery out there, so much depression and anxiety and dissatisfaction with work. The people just aren't getting the meaning out of it. And so by not only going through coaching, but then also potentially going into your own life, right, your own entrepreneurship, you could truly break free of all these chains and unleash your genius that way.
Yeah, that's so true. And I believe everybody should have a coach, particularly in business. And I have my own coach, of course, or from time to time I have my coach. Of course, sometimes you change also your coach, because some coaches are for a certain lifetime and then you need another coach, and that's fine. But I ask this question nearly in every podcast in the last weeks, and I also want to ask you the same question, because you're an expert in this. What is a good coach? Not what you learned also in your certification, but really from the bottom of your heart. What do you believe? What is a good coach?
Well, I think it's exactly what you just said. It comes from the bottom of the heart. And that question, I was just part of actually a discussion about that on LinkedIn last week. And my response to you is the same response that I gave there. It's love. It's a profound love for other people, a love to help others, to love others in such a way that you want them to succeed. You want to be curious about their lives, their journey, their experiences, what matters to them. You want to be able to have that love so that you can push them in a better direction. You want to hold them accountable enough because you love them and you want them to be better. You want them to succeed. So it all comes, just like you said, from the bottom of the heart. And I think if there's one word that would describe a good coach, it's love.
Yeah, I like it. And I also like what you say, curious about what they do. and ask a lot of questions. This is what I said very often to my people. Typically, I just ask questions. I have a very easy job, right? I ask questions, and you have to make the homework and the work and the answers. But this is because I'm curious, and I want to make innovation with them, and I want to make new things, and I want that they find out their new their new path. And yeah, so I like it very much to be curious. And you meet a lot of people, right? I meet a lot of people. So what was the most interesting meeting or the most interesting person you met in the last 1 or 2 years?
There's been, I mean, that's really hard to define. I mean, I would say there truly have been so many interesting people that I have met, and it almost doesn't injustice to all the other people that I've met if I just mentioned one. But one of the most interesting people that I've met in my own life, who I have now turned into one of my own mentors, and he has become an incredibly good friend, is Joe Bell. Now, Joe is not in the coaching industry. He is actually in the almost like the medical industry, the medical sales business. He has so for the last 4 years, I've been doing trauma surgery anymore. I've been doing wound care, and his company MedCU came up with a truly innovative product that, for the first time in years, has changed outcomes for my patients. And he is an incredible person. He came out of retirement for this company. He has been on the spearhead of medical innovation throughout his entire career. And he was around when Baxter introduced plastic IV bags. IV fluids and things to be infused into patients used to come in glass bottles, and that had its own slew of problems. And so Baxter came up with plastic bags that solved many of the problems, and he was there. We have this negative pressure therapy that literally sucks on a wound. It creates a vacuum that promotes healing and growth of new tissues. He was with KCI at the time, the company that brought the wound vac to the market. And now he's with MedCU, bringing this copper product to the market. So he's been an incredible person to meet in the last couple of years, and we've developed a tremendous friendship. And but that's to say, outside of him, I have still met dozens, if not hundreds, of other amazing people that truly do some incredible work out there in the world. But he is one that has changed a lot of things in my own life. You mentioned a business coach. He has definitely become a mentor for myself and in my own business, and the way I approach business and money and finances within this. So he has really changed so many aspects of my own life through this friendship. That I would say, of all the people that I have met, I would probably put him first. Although, like I said, that truly does injustice to everyone else that I could mention right now.
No, but I mean, this was something we talked about with another guest some weeks ago. It also needs to resonate to you, right? So there are people that just fit to your life, they resonate with you, and these are the most interesting or the most important meetings for you. But for somebody else, another coach or another person could be the right person. And this is also what I say very often. If you're a good coach, you need not to be the best coach for everybody, right? So there really need to be this fit, and you need to find your audience. And yeah, we talk about this a lot in self-branding and target audience and buyer persona, whatever, right? But in the end, it needs to resonate. And yeah, this is very important. So how does your former life or your life has impact on your current work? Do you do a lot of coaching with other medical people, or do you do particularly not with a lot of medical people? But how does, I mean, this is very important typically when we build a new business, right? So how does our experience has impact on our current work as freelancers? So how is it in your success work, in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good question. You're absolutely right that the coach-client relationship has to be, you have to have the right resonance, the right vibrancy, right? You have to vibe on the same frequency. And a lot of the reason for that is, if you go really through a good coaching relationship, you as the client really have to trust your coach, because we may dig deep into some things you don't really want to talk about, and you want to be able to trust that person. So you got to have a strong relationship with that person. So you're absolutely right. I don't coach everyone. Could I theoretically? Yes. But in practicality, that just doesn't work out. Just a couple of months ago, I had to fire a client of mine because it just didn't work
Oh,
out, and she didn't
oh
see that
wow.
at the time. And so,
Oh wow.
I said, look, this is not working out. So we should end this relationship. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It has to be the right relationship. Now, my past is my past. Like I said before, even though I didn't really want to go into medicine, I did, and I had an amount of experience that I gained that I'm still using. There's still tenets of that I'm using now in my coaching practice. I don't necessarily focus specifically on medical professionals. So though if there are medical professionals who feel they need a coach and they think I'm the right person for them, I'm more than happy to chat with them. But there's three things that I learned that a surgeon does in my training to become a surgeon. And that is to take out the bad stuff, hook up the good stuff, and stop the bleed. And so that's exactly what I'm doing now in my coaching practice. I take out the bad stuff, I hook up the good stuff, and I stop the bleed. So what what does that mean? And that's what I mean. Is like if you look at my profiles, I coach with surgical precision. So I take out the bad stuff. So all the stuff that creates negativity in your life, all the people that that surround you with negativity, those naysayers, the people that say you can't, you shouldn't. Narcissists are a great example of that, right? So we got to take all the bad stuff out of your life. Then we got to hook up all the good stuff. People innately have good stuff going for them. They may just not recognize it yet, but we got to find those good things in their lives, and we got to hook them up so that they will be able to foster and grow into more positive aspects of their lives. So whether that's mindset, finding purpose, finding a different job that creates more meaning and fulfillment, going out on your own as an entrepreneur, right? Whatever that good stuff is in your life, we got to fill your life with all the good stuff, all the stuff that creates positive in your life. And then we got to stop the bleed, all the stuff that drains you. I just put together a program for introverts. And one thing that drains introverts is networking, meeting new people, interacting with others. So we got to stop that bleed. How can we turn you into someone who can actually engage with others and not drain, not bleed in that process, so that you can also grow your network? Because as you know, especially as entrepreneurs, when you're out doing it on your own, you need the help of others. You need that network. Your net worth is your net worth. And so you need to be able to engage with others. So we got to stop the bleeds, all the stuff that drains your energies. That could also be, again, work, social media influencers, people you surround yourself with. We gotta drain all that, stop all that draining of energy, stop the bleed. So really that's what I do is, as I turned my training as a surgeon into what I now do as a coach by training with surgical precision. That's really what I've taken out of my past.
Yeah.
Forward.
I like these pictures very much, since I was also working in surgery and medical for many years from the technical side, as a medical computer scientist. And yeah, I was in the OR very often and have seen so many surgeons. And so I like this picture very much. So stopping bleeding and stopping the drain. So since we are also talking to not only to freelancers, but particularly also to digital nomads, because this is my target audience also. So yeah, what can digital nomads, people that travel a lot, like to have even more freedom, not only in their job as a freelancer, but also in their life as traveling and changing their place of living and working very often? What can they learn from you? Where can they stop bleeding, or where can they do this surgery, maybe with you or with somebody else? What message do you have for digital nomads, for people changing their living space very often?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Now, I have not been a true digital nomad myself, although nowadays everything I do is on my laptop. And wherever I take my laptop, I can work, whether that's my
Some
girlfriend's
kind
house
of digital nomad,
right? Yeah, a local nomad, right?
Local
I go
one,
to the
yeah.
library. Yeah. So the one thing, the first thing that comes to mind is there is a lot of negativity out there on the internet. And I think that's, by default, we like to complain. And I used to be that way. That's the circles that I grew up in. Everything was complained about. Everything was crap. Everything was, a lot of naysayers around me. I was able to that I can't do certain things all my life. And so the easiest thing to do is just to shut them off. And especially as a digital nomad, that's so easy to do. Turn your device off, turn it off. Look at the world around you. There's so much beauty in the world around us that we fail to recognize these days because we are consumed by our screens. And I see this, especially my kids not growing up. They have devices, iPads, phones, and whatnot, TVs that I never had as a kid. right? When I was growing up, for me to use a telephone, either we had a landline in the house, there was one landline and only one person at a time could use it, or I had to go down the street to a payphone and put some coins in to call someone. But that involved me now interacting more with the environment, right? And not so much with just one device right in front of me. So the healthiest thing to do, I think, is to, since you are dependent on that digital device for your work, for your life, is set boundaries around that. Create, a certain schedule. I'm only on my device from between these hours of the day, and then turn it off, completely shut it off, and enjoy the world around you. There's truly so much beauty out there in the world that honestly, I never even got to realize. When I was in my surgical training, I spent 80 plus hours at the hospital. And when people asked what the weather was, I said, it's 72 and fluorescent. What do you mean? Wherever I go, it's 72 and fluorescent. So I never got to see truly what the beauty is out there. Now, when I come home late at night and I can look up at the sky and it's dark and the clouds are gone, I can see stars. It's so beautiful. It's stuff that I had never been able to really appreciate, that it's out there, right? So that would probably be my first tip for anybody in the digital space, even for myself. I hate having my device on me, especially when friends or family come over. I really try hard, and it's not easy, but I try as much as I can to not look at my phone when my kids are around. I intentionally leave my phone in another room so I'm not tempted to pick it up and look at it, because it is easy to look at the phone and scroll through reels or something, but it's a little harder, but so much more meaningful to interact with the people that are right there in the room with you. And I think that's something that we've lost track of. Like I see that with my kids all the time. My oldest daughter is 10 years old and she is stuck on her iPad. She'll go to a room, close the door, and just is on her iPad all day long.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I'd say. Turn off.
Yeah. No, but this is very interesting, and I think it's maybe even. I mean, I've seen a lot of digital nomads since I'm now in Latin America, and I talk a lot also with digital nomads because this is very interesting for me. And I think it's even more like that those people can really do that because they can enjoy life, because they know how to do it, because they some kind of experts, or in German we say Aussteiger. I don't even know that.
Yeah.
Maybe in English you use that. I don't know. You use some German words, right? And so they made it happen, right? And they know how to do it and enjoy life. And maybe for them it's also sometimes the problem of being more consistent. So I would say your advice goes maybe to make the second step, right? So first step is becoming a freelancer to get the freedom. Second step, if you cannot turn off your device because you still feel dependent to the online device as a freelancer, as a digital freelancer, be a digital nomad and go out and start enjoying life. So maybe this is a step approach you just advised to us. First become real free and then become even more free as a digital free. Of course, with a family, it's not so easy and there are many constraints for this, but for young people, that could be really some therapy, right? Going around the world, work there, travel around, and work at the same time. And I learned a lot from people I was interviewing and I was talking that when they start traveling, they get a different way for working and living, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think either way, you should be intentional about your actions. So if your goal is to travel the world, you are intentional about figuring out a way to make that happen, right? You figure out where to travel to, how to get there, where to stay. Do I bring a laptop? Do I bring a tablet? Do I bring nothing, right? And this is the same thing then with how we interact with these devices. You have to be intentional about saying, I only work from this hour to that hour. I'm not going to look at the device here and then. So it's just about setting the right intentions for yourself so that you're not just, otherwise everyone else will influence what you do. Everyone else will take your time, but you need to be intentional with your actions, right?
Yeah, this was so good. I think we can talk a lot and still a lot, and we want to get to know each other even better, and maybe people in the audience want to get to know you. They can reach out to you. You have your URL beyond or above your head. It's successwork.com, I guess, or org. I don't know.
Well, so it's successwork.co. The .com is currently owned by it's by some domain scalper owns that domain, and I'm not willing to pay the $5,000 to get the .com.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm most active on LinkedIn. The easiest way to find me in any of the socials is brokesurgeon.com. Broke, B-R-O-K-E, like I'm broken. That'll link to all my social profiles, my podcast, my website. So brokesurgeon.com is the easiest way to find me.
Yeah. So great. Yeah. Thanks for coming to this podcast. We make it short because I believe in 15, 20 minutes you can see a lot, and I like this short and efficient time slots, and a lot of freelancers also love that. And yeah, if you want to know more, reach out to us, write a DM, or send a message on LinkedIn, whatever channel, and subscribe to this channel. I also will link your podcast in my descriptions, and the people can also learn about you more, or your guests. And yeah, so thank you very much, and I hope we stay in contact also with the audience and with you and all together. And yeah, thank you for this session. It was very interesting.